Hello, greeting friends. Welcome to the accountancy lessons. So the topic for the today is basic term of accounts. Now, what are the basic accountancy terms? This chapter would enable you to understand various accountancy terms prescribed in your syllabus. Now, I have divided this chapter into four parts or four videos in which I explain you 9 terms each. And the first 9 terms which will be explained to you in this video are transaction, account, capital, drawings, liability, asset, receipts, expenses, and income, respectively. Now, what is transaction? Transaction is the one which involves exchange of goods and services, concerned with money or money's worth value of goods and services, at least involves two parties, and has a direct effect on both the sides of the accountancy equation, that is assets is equals to liabilities plus capital. Now let's have an in-depth understanding of what is transaction. First part, concerned with money's worth value of goods and services. Through the help of a transaction, one will be able to understand what is the market value of the goods and services that are produced. Involves two parties, that is the seller and the purchaser. Unless and until the seller gets the purchaser in order to sell his or her goods or services in consideration of cash or goods worth, it cannot be called a transaction. And finally, it involves dual effect, that is assets is equals to liabilities plus capital. Now let me show you an example for this. For example, if I have invested 1 lakh rupees in a business and now I need to purchase a machinery for it worth rupees 20,000. What will happen? I'll give the 20,000 rupees cash to the seller in consideration of a computer. So my capital will be decreased by 20,000 rupees, and in order to that, assets will be increasing by 20,000 rupees, having shown a dual effect. Now this was transaction. What is an account? Account. Account is a summarized record of transaction belonging to a particular place at a particular head. Now we have recorded various transactions in a chronological book of prime entry, that is journal. I earlier explained to you in the video of accountancy that accountancy involves various steps like identifying, measuring, recording, classifying, etc. So after recording, the main step is classifying the transactions into various accounts called ledger. For example, if there are many transactions related to cash recorded in a month in a journal, so we'll summarize this transaction into a book of entry or account, that is cash account. We'll prepare a ledger account in the name of cash account, in which the left side will be the debit side and the right side will be the credit side. In the left side, that is in the debit side, all receipts will be recorded. That is through the sale of any asset, through the sale of any stock. That is, for example, if I have sold a computer, what will be the entry? Cash to computer, because we are getting cash in return of selling the computer. So here on the left side it will be recorded in the name of to computer. But for example, if we are purchasing the computer, the cash balance will decrease, and thus here it will be recorded in the name of buy computer. That is, the journal entry will be computer to cash. Similarly, all the transaction related to Mohan's personal account will be recorded in the personal account. Personal account. All the transaction related to any liability, that is bills payable, will be recorded in the BP account, that is bills payable account. Simple. Now capital. What is capital? Capital is the amount of money invested in the business. Not only money, amount of asset invested in the business. Amount of money involves cash, assets, stock, raw materials invested in the business. That money is called capital. Drawings. Drawings is the money which is withdrawn from the business for personal use. For example, if I have invested rupees 1 lakh in a business and a proprietor or a partner of mine withdraws some amount of money, for example, say 5,000 rupees in the form of cash, that will be called as drawings. But it is not limited to cash. He can also withdraw some part of stocks for his personal use, and that part of stock which is withdrawn for the personal use will be also considered as drawings. He can also withdraw assets for his personal use, but the part of asset will be considered as drawings. Now, what is a liability? As I told you earlier in the transaction definition, that is assets is equals to liabilities plus capital. Asset is the debit side of the accounting equation and liabilities plus capital is the credit side of the accounting equation. So clearly liabilities is the credit side of the accounting equations and it refers to the obligations of the business towards others. That is, जैसे कि हमने किसी से पैसे उधार ले रखे हैं तो हमें उसको पैसे वापस करने हैं. तो जिस बंदे को हमने पैसे वापस करने हैं, the amount of the money which I have to return to the person known as creditor is known as liability. For example, 1 लाख की हमने एसेट इन्वेस्ट करी हुई है और हमारे पास कैपिटल हमने खुद का लगाया हुआ है 80,000 रुपीज, तो बाकी बची 20,000 हमारी लायबिलिटी होगी. तो 20,000 जो हमारी लायबिलिटी होगी इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग द अमाउंट विच वी हैव टू रिटर्न टू द पर्सन नोन एज द क्रेडिटर for credit worthiness of the firm, for retaining the credit worthiness of the firm or for retaining the financial performance of the firm. This 20,000 amount which is set aside from capital is known as liability. Now what do you mean by asset? Asset are of basically 3 types: current assets, non-current assets and fictitious assets. And on the basis of its properties, that is whether it can be touched or not, these are of 2 types: tangible asset and intangible asset. Now liabilities are also of 2 types which I will be explaining it to you later after assets. But first of all, assets are of 3 types: non-current assets, current assets, fictitious assets. Now non-current assets are those assets which can't be sold within 12 months of the operating cycle or which can't be sold within 12 months from the preparation of the balance sheet. Now I'll explain to you about the balance sheet in the summarizing step of the accounting process in the earlier video. That is, it involves making of the accounting statements for measuring the financial performance of the firm. That is, what is the amount of asset and what is the amount of liabilities that the firm possesses. Non-current assets can't be sold within the 12 months of the preparation of the balance sheet, and they basically involves capital assets like computer, machinery. Basically it involves those kind of assets that are used for further processing of or further producing the goods. Current assets refer to the stocks like which can be sold within 12 months from the preparation of the date of balance sheet, which can be sold within the operating cycle or 12 months, whichever is shorter. What are fictitious assets? Fictitious assets are those assets the benefit of which will be lasting in more than one accounting period. Now what basically fictitious asset is? It is the kind of deferred revenue expenditure. I'll be explaining it to you in the expenditure part of it. That is, जैसे कि हमने किसी प्रोडक्ट की एडवर्टाइजिंग करी, फॉर एग्जांपल हमने किसी कोल्ड ड्रिंक दैट इज थम्स अप की हमने एडवर्टाइजिंग करी, तो उस एडवर्टाइजिंग से हमें कितना प्रॉफिट होने वाला है एंड द एक्सपेंसेस विच आर इनकर्ड ओवर द मेकिंग ऑफ दैट एडवर्टाइजमेंट एंड द बेनिफिट ऑफ विच विल बी incurred to us, benefit which will be gaining through the firm in more than one accounting period is known as fictitious assets. यानी कि जो फायदा हमारी कंपनी को उस एडवर्टाइजमेंट से एक से ज्यादा अकाउंटिंग पीरियड में होने वाला है उसे हम फिक्टिशियस एसेट कहेंगे. जैसे कि हमने 1 लाख रुपए लगाए एडवर्टाइजमेंट में और वो एडवर्टाइजमेंट हमारे लिए एटलीस्ट इट इज वायबल अप टू 5 years. सो वी विल बी राइटिंग ऑफ 20,000, that is 1 lakh divided by 5. 20,000 will be written off from the asset year by year. Will be written off from the expenditure or the respective asset year by year in the balance sheet. Similarly, liability is also of two types. Liability is of two types, that is non-current liability and current liability. Non-current liability is the one which is to be settled, which can be settled after 12 months. That is हमारे डिबेंचर्स हो गए, कंपनी अकाउंट्स के जितने भी हमारे वो होते हैं शेयर्स डिबेंचर्स, वो हमारे नॉन करेंट लाइबिलिटीज में आते हैं. और करेंट लाइबिलिटीज में वो आते हैं जो कि हमें 12 मंथ्स के अंदर ही सेटल करने होते हैं और जिसकी पेमेंट हम डेफर नहीं कर सकते. डेफर इन द सेंस कि हम जिसकी पेमेंट डिले नहीं कर सकते कि हम आपको इस आफ्टर 12 मंथ्स आफ्टर दिस ईयर हम 1 महीने बाद आपको दे देंगे, तो हम डेफर नहीं कर सकते उस पेमेंट को. फॉर एग्जाम्पल बिल्स पेएबल, वी हैव टू पे इट विद इन द ईयर इटसेल्फ टू द क्रेडिटर. नाउ कंसिडर अबाउट द tangible and intangible assets. Tangible assets are those which can be physically touched. For example, कंप्यूटर को हम फिजिकली टच कर सकते हैं, मशीनरी को हम फिजिकली टच कर सकते हैं. लैंड is also considered a tangible asset. We can touch the land as well. But what are the intangible assets? Intangible assets are those which can't be touched physically. That is software. फिर ट्रेडमार्क हो गया किसी कंपनी का, वो हम टच थोड़ी ना कर सकते हैं. That is engraved in the device itself, so we can't touch it. Device itself, that is software, trademark, patents, copyrights, तो ये सब तो हम टच कर नहीं सकते. So these are called as intangible assets. Now, receipts. What are receipts? Receipts is the amount receivable for the sale of goods and services by the firm. यानी कि जो भी हम सामान या सर्विसेज को हम सेल कर रहे हैं उसे हम receipts कहेंगे. Receipts भी two types के होते हैं. Receipts are of two types. That is revenue receipt and the capital receipt. Revenue receipt is the receipt which we receive in day-to-day life of business. That is, we receive it regularly. For example, sale of any stock, etc. Or capital receipt through the help of sale of any asset. यानी कि जो हमारा डे टू डे लाइफ पे खर्चा नहीं, that is unusual. The unusual types of receipts which we receive in the business is known as capital receipt. Expenses. What are expenses? Expenses are the amount of money which we have spent for generating revenue. अब expenses भी कई types के हो सकते हैं, मतलब revenue generate करने के लिए. that is हमने bad debt जो write off करा हो, किसी debtor का bad debt write off करा हो, वो किसी भी asset की depreciation हो, वो जैसे हमने कई तरह के expenses किए हो, जैसे salary होगी किसी मकान का rent देना हो, ऑफिस का रेंट देना हो, किसी एम्प्लॉय की सैलरी देनी हो, तो उसके लिए किए गए खर्चे इज नोन एज एक्सपेंस. एक्सपेंसेस आर ऑफ टू टाइप्स. Prepaid and outstanding. Now, what is prepaid and outstanding expenses? Let me explain to you with the help of an example. Prepaid expense, जैसे कि हमारे अकाउंटिंग पीरियड में 12 मंथ्स होते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वैसे तो अकाउंटिंग पीरियड हमारा मार्च 1 से स्टार्ट होता है, सॉरी अप्रैल 1 से स्टार्ट होता है और मार्च 31 को एंड होता है, मार्च 31 ऑफ द नेक्स्ट ईयर। फॉर एग्जांपल अप्रैल 1 2017 टू मार्च 31 2018। सो अगर हमने जैसे कि 500 रुपए रेंट डिसाइड किया हुआ है पर मंथ, सो 500 into 12, 500 into 12 is equals to 6000। हमने ऑन अप्रैल 1 2017 अपने लैंडलॉर्ड को 6000 रुपीज अगर रेंट दिया है एट द रेट ऑफ 500 रुपीज per month, it is called as a regular expense. But if we consider giving 6,500 rupees, 6,500 rupees, then it will account for 13 months. That is one extra month after that perspective accounting year. तो जो उस 1 month का जो खर्चा होगा जो हमने एडवांस में पे कर रखा है 500, that will be called as prepaid expense. Now let's take one more example. फॉर एग्जाम्पल हमने 1 अक्टूबर 2017 को कोई किराए पर एक फ्लैट लिया और उस किराए का भी, उस फ्लैट का भी हमारा रेंट 6000 था मंथली। तो उस अकाउंटिंग ईयर के हिसाब से हमारे पास हुए 6 मंथ्स, तो 6 मंथ्स का जो होगा एक्सपेंस दैट इज रेंट 3000 विल बी रेगुलर or normal expense, and the rest 3000 is paid in advance. This 3000 will be known as the prepaid expense. The expense which are incurred in advance or before the next accounting year starts, or the benefit for which will be received in the next accounting year, is known as prepaid expense. Now, what is outstanding expense? Outstanding expense. फॉर इसी एग्जाम्पल को ले लें, तो जैसे हर महीने का हमने 500 रुपीज रेंट फिक्स किया हुआ है और अगर किसी बंदे ने 10 मंथ्स का रेट दिया हुआ है, 10 मंथ्स का किराया दिया हुआ है, तो दैट 5000 रुपीज will be considered as a regular rent, and the amount which is pending on 2 months will be called as outstanding expense, because हमारे 12 months का रेंट हुआ 6000 रुपीज और लैंडलॉर्ड को हमने पे किया है सिर्फ 5000 रुपीज. So the remaining 1000 rupees which we have not paid, or which is to be incurred, or which is to be spent, which we have not given up to the landlord, or which we have not given to the prospective person, will be known as outstanding expense. This 2 months expenditure which is to be incurred, note the important word, to be incurred, will be known as the outstanding expense. In prepaid expense, we have already paid in advance. The key point to be noted here is already paid in advance, and in the outstanding expense is to be paid. Now, what is income? Income is the profit earned through, the excess of profit over the cost of any good or service is known as income. For example, किसी भी गुड का प्राइस है, कॉस्ट है 15,000, इट्स कॉस्ट प्राइस इज 15,000, और हमने उसको और प्रोसेस करके और उसके ऊपर वैल्यू एडिशंस करके हमने उस गुड को बेचा एट 20,000 रुपीज. सो 15,000 will be its cost price, and 20,000 will be, after its value additions and all processing and all, is selling price. So the excess of revenue, that is 20,000, minus the cost of the good 15,000, is known as profit. This 5,000 rupees will be known as profit. Now, receipts, as already explained, receipts are of two types: revenue receipts, which are recurring in nature, and capital receipts, which are non-recurring in nature. Capital receipts can be profit on sale of anything, or sale of any furniture, sale of any asset, etc., profit on sale of investment, etc. So these will account of receipts, revenue receipt and capital receipt. Hope you liked this video, and I'll explain to you the next 9 terms in the next video. Thanks. Thank you.